Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Talk 524. Another pilgrim asked, I am a man with a family. Is it possible for those who live in a family to get release? And if so, how? Sri Bhagavān replied, now, what is family? Whose family is it? If the answers to these questions are found, the other questions will solve themselves. Tell me, are you in the family, or is the family in you? The visitor did not answer. What is a family? Whose family is it? Are you in the family, or is the family in you? If you are an individual with a body, you may appear to have a family and all else. Within the context of the family, you will be in a different relation to each one. Are you in the family, or is the family in you? The body is in you. You are not in it. If you are an individual, you may be in a body with a mind, etc. If you are not the individual or embodied being, all is in you, and you are limited by none. If there's clarity regarding this, how it pertains to your knowledge of your identity, then you'll already have release or moksha. And the question raised by the disciple is resolved. Then Sri Bhagavān's answer was continued. Who are you? You include three aspects of life, namely the waking, the dream, and the sleep states. You were not aware of the family and their ties in your sleep, and so these questions did not arise then. But now you are aware of the family and their ties, and therefore you seek release. But you are the same person throughout. The questioner said, because I now feel that I am in the family, it is right that I should seek release. Sri Bhagavān replied, you are right, but consider and say, are you in the family or is the family in you? The family and their ties are not in sleep. Nothing of this world exists in sleep. Yet you exist. Now you are aware of the family and their ties, and therefore you seek release, but you are the same person throughout. What is the nature of this person? There should be knowledge of what you truly are. That transcends the three states. Being transcendent of the three states, it is not bound. Not being bound, there are no ties to cut. And what was sought as release is found just to be one's own nature. Sri Bhagavān says, consider and say, are you in the family or is the family in you? You are not in anything. Everything's in you. What is in you can only have the same nature as you. So you are without relations, and all relations are only in you. Sri Bhagavān's answer started with saying, "Who are you?" If just that is known, all questions are answered. Who are you? If that is known, where is bondage? Where is limitation? If just that is answered, who are you? There is peace that never perishes. Another visitor interposed, "What is family?" Sri Bhagavan replied, "That's it. It must be known." The disciple said, "There is my wife and there are also my children. They are dependent on me. That is the family." Sri Bhagavan replied, "Do the members of the family bind your mind? Or do you bind yourself to them? Do they come and say to you, 'We form your family, be with us'? Or do you consider them as your family, and then you are bound to them?" The disciple said, "I consider them as my family and feel bound to them." Sri Bhagavan replied, "Quite so. Because you think so is your wife, and so are your children, you also think that you are bound to them. These thoughts are yours. They owe their very existence to you. You can entertain these thoughts or relinquish them. The former is bondage, and the latter is release." The disciple said, "It is not quite clear to me." Sri Bhagavan explains, "You must exist in order that you may think. You may think these thoughts or other thoughts. The thoughts change, but not you. Let go the passing thoughts and hold on to the unchanging self. The thoughts form your bondage. If they are given up, there is release. The bondage is not external, so no external remedy need be sought for release. It is within your competence to think and thus to get bound, or to cease thinking and thus be free." The disciple said, "But it is not easy to remain without thinking." Sri Bhagavan replied, "You need not cease thinking, only think of the root of the thoughts, seek it and find it. The self shines by itself. When that is found, the thoughts cease of their own accord. That is freedom from bondage." The disciple said, "Yes, I understand it now. I have learnt it now. Is a guru necessary?" Sri Bhagavan replied, "So long as you consider yourself as an individual, a guru is necessary to show to you that you are not bound by limitations and that your nature is to be free from limitations." Sri Bhagavan instructed, "Do the members of the family bind your mind? Or do you bind yourself to them? Do they come and say to you, we form your family, be with us? Or do you consider them as your family and that you are bound to them? Nothing exterior causes one's bondage or limitation. You bind yourself. You and the mind are not bound by external things. The world is just a thought of it. The body is just a thought of it. The family is just a thought of it. Others are just a thought of such. What is not a thought? These thoughts are yours. They owe their very existence to you. Thoughts have neither a reality of their own, nor any intrinsic power to bind. Due to delusion, one binds oneself by his own thoughts. But the bondage is not real. It's just the product of the delusion. Thoughts owe their very existence to you. None of the thoughts stand up and declare their own reality. You think they are you, but is it true? You can entertain these thoughts or relinquish them. The former is bondage, and the latter is release. By entertain means to misidentify. You can entertain these thoughts or relinquish them. When you see they are false, they are relinquished. The sense of identity, the sense of reality mixed up with them, returned to their source. That is the relinquishment. The former is bondage and the latter is release. Attachment to thoughts is binding. Not misidentifying with thoughts is liberating. You must exist in order that you may think. You must exist in order that you may think. You may think these thoughts or other thoughts. The thoughts change, but not you. All of your thoughts change. None of them is eternal. They are all subject to change. But your existence is not like that. It ever is.
Why then is sannyasa extolled as a necessary stage in life? If the world is a thought of it and the relations I wanted to gain some clarity on sannyasa and why it is extolled as a necessary stage in life. If it is a matter of thinking, if it is relinquishment of thought, it is also said once the unreality of thought is known, then sannyasa or renunciation has to be both physical and mental. And perhaps the question of remaining in the family or going outside of the family and the state, or there is throughout the scriptures, sannyasa as a stage is extolled and is desired as renouncing the entire world. Is it to be understood by staying within the family? Is mental renunciation alone adequate by realizing the unreality of thought? Or at some stage one has to renounce this entire world, both in thought and in physical?
If you renounce the whole world, where will you go? Evidently, the meaning of such is deeper there. If you know the unreality of thought, and know further that all things are only the thought of them, and have no separate existence, there is no bondage. Leaving one's circumstances, family, etc., as in sannyasa, does not in itself guarantee self-realization. The way is internal, not external.
But does it not naturally follow through if unreality of thought gives release, then the activities that one is involved in, such as work, such as being in a relationship, all of them lose meaning, and one cannot be continuing with them.
What is it that you need?
Unbroken happiness, limitless peace.
Unbroken happiness and limitless peace is not anything defined by the three states. It cannot be anything that is thought of. What is necessary is to know oneself. If the self is known, it is entirely just Brahman. Does Brahman have a family?
Then it doesn't matter what one does, because then everything is Brahman. Whether it's one is at work, one is in the family, out of the family, then it doesn't really matter.
So there is a time, or time comes, when you realize that all you need to do, what is an absolute necessity to be done, is to know the nature of the self. To know it in a way you thoroughly and completely identify with it. And all of the old ignorance has been destroyed.
Thank you.
All else may be regarded as auxiliary or preliminary, depending on the temperament of the seeker. But in the end, he must come to know himself as he truly is. Sri Bhagavān had said, "Let go the passing thoughts and hold on to the unchanging self. The thoughts form your bondage. If they are given up, there is release." Does not Sri Bhagavān answer your question completely? The bondage is not external. So no external remedy need be sought for release. It could be said that there is no extent to which a seeker may go to avoid the real inquiry into the self. The real practice of self-inquiry is what is needed, and nothing else is so. He said, "It is within your competence to think and thus to get bound, or to cease thinking and thus be free." Your bondage is only in thought. It is not physically created. The disciple had then questioned, "But it is not easy to remain without thinking." Seeing that he hadn't fully understood the instruction, Sri Bhagavān replies, "You need not cease thinking. Only think of the root of the thoughts. Seek it and find it. The self shines by itself. When that is found, the thoughts cease of their own accord. That is freedom from bondage." You need not cease thinking, only think of the root of the thoughts. What is the root of all these thoughts? Seek it and find it. Seek it and finding it is accomplished by tracing your existence, by tracing the notion I and discerning what its core is. The self shines by itself. That is, self-knowledge is self-known. What is the root of all your thinking? What is changelessly existing and knowing all the time? When that is found, the thoughts cease of their own accord. They are regarded neither as real nor as the self. There is no confusion regarding identity and reality. The thoughts cease of their own accord. They do not exist. Neither the content of them is real, nor the supposed actual occurrence of a thought. That is not real either. That is freedom from bondage. The disciple said, "I have learnt it now. Is a guru necessary?" The guru is already there. The question is superfluous. What could possibly be the point of standing before Sri Bhagavān and asking him, is a guru necessary? Sri Bhagavan graciously instructs, so long as you consider yourself as an individual, a guru is necessary to show to you that you are not bound by limitations and that your nature is to be free from limitations. Talk 525. Another visitor asked, actions are bondage. One cannot remain without some kind of activity, so bondage goes on increasing. What is one to do under the circumstances? Sri Bhagavan answered, one should act in such a manner that the bondage is not strengthened but gets weakened. That is selfless action. One should act in such a manner that the bondage is not strengthened but gets weakened. That is selfless action. What is such action? It is action without the notion of an ego. It is action free of the limitations of fear and desire, etc., that are just permutations of the ego. It is action that is selfless. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Shanti, Shanti.